Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about assignment 1, the text in action assignment. First thing we're going to discuss are the due dates. The rough draft is going to be due on September 9th, and on that date you're going to post your rough draft in whatever state it is in to the discussion board for peer review. I advise that you have at least a page written. That would be about 250 to 300 words. Since you're going to be writing in an MLA format, which is double-spaced times New Roman font size 12. And on the week of that, you're going to be responding to your peers via the discussion board after you post your draft, and you should finish that by September 13th. And you'll be responding to 2 of your classmates as part of that assignment. Your final draft for this piece is going to be due on September 20th. You should write at least 1,200 words for this with a goal of having about 1,500 to 1,550. And you're going to put your word count next to your name at the top left-hand corner of the page, of the first page. This assignment challenges you to explore how a text is designed to affect its audience. You're going to be thinking about the analysis as a behind-the-scenes exploration of a writer's design and rhetorical choices. So your essay will employ specific evidence from the text you have chosen to study. These may include the analysis of tone, sources, visual elements. It should include rhetorical appeals, organization, and genre as well among that analysis. For this assignment, you will not summarize the text, but instead you're going to be focusing on the actions of the text. So you're not summarizing, you're analyzing. For example, you're going to ask, how does this text take action? Do they do so by persuading the reader to make assumptions about the reader? So for example, if you were to look at an ad, would that ad be persuading a specific audience to look at it? Or to buy the product that's being pitched, or to watch the Netflix movie that's being pitched? For this assignment, you have 3 options. Just choose one of them. For option 1, you can analyze a persuasive visual or written text. What's the context and purpose of that text? Ask yourself, what strategies are used to influence the attitudes, actions, or beliefs, as well as the intended audience? If applicable, consider how the passage of time might be affecting the text persuasiveness as well. So if you choose a piece that is 10 years old, for example, you might want to think about what's changed since then, how the audience that the author is going for may have changed since then, how that could have been affected, and what difference that may or may not make. For option 2, you can analyze a print or visual text just as before, but this time you would focus on how the genre is central to the persuasiveness of that piece. You would examine how genre interacts with the kinds of action, behavior, and/or beliefs that that text encourages. And then you would ask yourself when writing, what difference that genre makes to the persuasive message of the text. For option 3, you can analyze one section or aspect of the UC website. Who's the audience of the UC website? What's the purpose of this section or aspect of the site? How does the university brand itself? How does the site use language, images, testimonials, data, and other elements to influence the beliefs and actions of its audience? Do you consider yourself part of its audience? Why or why not? So you choose one of these options. That's the first thing you should do. And then the second thing you should do, unless you're choosing option 3, which immediately focuses you on the UC website as your piece, you need to choose a visual or written text. Your visual or written text can be an article, it can be an ad, it can be, I'm pretty open to anything here. I would suggest you choosing something short. I wouldn't go for an entire book because that can be a bit too much. So I would choose something short. You could even respond to the persuasive elements of a poem if you would like. You'll notice that on our schedule, we recently picked up Nickel and Dimed as part of our readings for this week. If you'd like to respond to chapters 1 and 2 of Nickel and Dimed as your text, you're welcome to do that also. So that's the next thing you should do. And I advise that you go ahead and do that fairly quickly. One of the most time-consuming aspects of writing a college paper in English composition is choosing what you want to write about. So get that out of the way. Don't waste too much time on that. You're going to be structuring your paper per MLA. So make sure you use MLA formatting, and we have a video that goes over that in our Module 2, Week 2 work this week so that you can look at that. And then make sure you give your title or a title to your paper. Make it unique. Don't just say text in action paper. You can say that for your rough draft if you need to, by the way. Make sure you have an introduction, a thesis statement, and make sure that as you go through your work, you follow some of the instructions we have here. So I'm not going to spend too much time going through all of this, but I will highlight on it a bit. I don't want to, I know you can read, but I do want to read some of this to you just to make a few points. Make sure you do have a thesis statement. You're going to be graded a lot in this class on your ability to form a thesis statement. One of the things you need to take away from this class is your ability to write a thesis statement, a solid one. You need to be able to take this into your next English class. You need to be able to take this into all of your classes at this university so that you can be successful when writing college level papers. So for this thesis statement, and you've probably went over this in high school, and if you haven't, that's okay. We're going to go over it here. So in addition to this assignment, you'll find, we'll probably be going over it next week, how to write strong thesis statements. But just as a high level here, for our paper, this one, you're going to make your thesis statement in bold when you write it. It should be the last line of your introduction. Your thesis should indicate what you're going to discuss without making an announcement. There you go. You can read the rest. In your analysis, I'd like for you to be able to discuss the following things. I'd like for you to discuss the author, and I want you to consider the following questions that are listed, such as who the author is, what's the angle of the vision that shapes the text and counts for what's included and what isn't included, what information is emphasized, who's the audience, who's the author writing for, and why? How do you feel about what they're writing here? How do you know that this is the audience? What are the clues? For the rhetorical appeals, what is the kairotic or opportune moment that has motivated the author to pen the piece? And you should be able to find examples of ethos, pathos, and logos in either text. How effective is the author's ability to use these appeals? Ethos, pathos, and logos, the rhetorical appeals, are also something we're going to be going over in the coming weeks before you turn in this paper. So don't worry too much about this. If you don't know what ethos and pathos and logos are, we will touch on that. Go over the textual elements that are listed here, such as how logically the material is developed and how consistent it is, as well as the aging of the text and how well it's aged. You want to avoid, so this is a list of things to avoid. I've seen a lot come through, and I just kind of want to warn you here. That way you don't lose points. Make sure you use MLA. Don't use APA or Chicago. Use MLA. I'm supposed to make sure you can get out of this class using MLA, so let's go ahead and start on the right foot. Please don't refer to the author by their first name. You should always refer to an author by his or her last name. When you first refer to the author, of course, you refer to him or her by their full name. You can go ahead and move through the rest of this list as well. So please read through the rest of here and let me know if you have any questions. Happy writing!